Let's talk about Joy Behar.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really proud of her. I'm happy for her. She had a really good take this week.
Yes.
Joy Behar, Columbus policeman who shot Ma'Khia Bryant, could have just shot the gun in the air. Oh.
This is great. That's actually the first thing any concealed carry instructor will tell you. If you're an emergency,
don't even joke.
I won't joke. I won't joke about this. Guys, do not ever do that. First of all,
Insanity.
There's no such thing as a warning shot.
That's
movies.
Yeah,
guys,
someone tell Joe Biden.
if you fire a gun in the air, here's the thing:
I'm
the
pretty
bullet
sure
doesn't keep going
into
and then
space.
leave the atmosphere. And then,
It doesn't
it comes
disappear.
back down, and people die. People have gotten hit by stray bullets that were fired
yes,
into
right.
the air. Don't do that.
There's so many stories.
Stupid. Joy, what are you talking about? Are you? That's like.
Remember Joe Biden?
Actually, Joy, you let out 2 blasts. You get,
No, he said that. Joe
about a
did.
shotgun. He's like, take a shotgun out. You let out 2 blasts.
Joe, he said in the air, right? He's like, fire off.
Yes.
He said, fire.
Okay.
He tells his wife, shoot it in the air. Just get a shotgun and fire 2 blasts.
Okay, now
no,
to
Joe.
to be fair, if he's talking about birdshot, you'll annoy people. Don't do that. If he's talking about buckshot, you could mildly hurt somebody. Bullets, depending on the grain,
They go somewhere. It's this
they
crazy
come back
thing.
down. But these are heavier, and these can injure people seriously when they're coming down.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to fire anything into the air because you don't know what it's going to hit, who it's going to hit, what it's going to interfere with. They land places.
Yep.
In fact, there's some states where you can't actually use certain guns for hunting because the state's flat. So they have requirements about what weapons you can use. I think New Jersey, I could be wrong, is like shotguns only, because a high velocity round is going to be, it's a flat surface, it's going to travel really, really far. You don't know what it's going to hit. You can't track it properly. What we're hearing, okay, let me just reiterate. Joy Behar. Let me read you what she said. The View co-host Joy Behar and Sunny Hostin agreed on Thursday that the police officer who shot and killed Ma'Khia Bryant in Columbus, Ohio, had the option to de-escalate instead of using deadly force. Behar suggested the officer could have just shot his gun in the air instead of aiming it at the 16-year-old. Quote, he said the cop had no choice. And my feeling is, I don't know if that's true or not, Behar said. I really can't figure it out anymore. It seems to me in a situation, I've looked at the tape and I still can't figure it out. Shoot the gun in the air. Warning, tase a person, shoot them in the leg, shoot them in the behind, stop them somehow. But if only the solution is to kill a teenager, there's something wrong with this. Lady's never been to a range in her life.
Never. Dude, first of all, does she think this is a Western? And like the sheriff just comes out and fires his gun into the air and then everyone stops?
No. She thinks the cop comes out, spins his Glock, fires, and it shoots the knife out of her
Exactly.
hand.
He's got
Flying,
his
she,
hand
goes,
up.
she stops. You think this is really hilarious when they say things like shoot him? Didn't Joe Biden say shoot him in the leg or something?
Yeah, well, the weapons experts at The View have unfortunately
Yes.
let us down for the first time that I can
shocked.
think of. I know.
At The View, look, I understand. Everyone's probably commenting saying Tim doesn't know what he's talking about with guns. No. I'll fully admit I am not a gun expert by any means. I'm just a guy who recently bought guns, and I can tell you this lady's nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like, but to be honest, like ripping on Joy Behar's view of guns is sort of like shooting fish in a barrel that's
Yeah.
above your head.
Oh,
Got her there. Am I right? Got jokes. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. FreedomToons. All right, check it out.
This is why we have these insane laws that make no sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you know what, man? I'm sitting on Twitter when people are talking about gun control, and it's just like, have you ever seen? When was the last time you went to like a grade school and you were just like there for some reason? You saw like all the little kids, like 5th grade or whatever, and they're all really dumb.
What? That's rude. Why would you say that?
Because kids.
No,
I'm not saying that to say like kids aren't smart. They lack knowledge.
Yeah, of course.
Like experience.
So you'll hear from a lot of kids a lot of really dumb things. Like, it's so dumb. Like, there's like 100 houses and like 10 homeless people, but like a bunch of the houses are empty. So just put the homeless people in the houses. Like, it's so dumb.
I've seen college students share that one,
That's
buddy.
right. And then you say something
that's
like,
an adult opinion, apparently.
houses have to be maintained and someone has to pay for the utilities. You can't just put people under the rug and expect them to go away. But little kids say things like this. How come if there's like starving people, we just don't like give them food? Like, it's so dumb.
Tim, if we have, if we print money, why do we ever need to tax people? Why don't we just print
Right.
money to pay for stuff forever?
AOC
That's
advocated
MMT,
for
kids.
deficit spending. She's like, we can just print the money to pay for the
I'm
stuff.
surprised. Yeah, MMT, it's
Oh.
beautiful.
Yeah. So going on Twitter during a gun control argument, man, wow. It's just like, my favorite meme is the one where they say no self-respecting hunter would use an AR-15.
Which is not true. It's the most popular hunting rifle in the country.
But not even that. But I'm like, here's a photograph of an AR-15 chambered in .450 Bushmaster, quite literally for hunting. Like, what do you mean? This round was made for hunting. But these people just they literally don't know anything. But
ever.
Boy, are they arrogant. So they'll tell you to do something illegal, extremely dangerous. It's amazing to me. They're like, the cops should be held accountable and they should fire their guns in the air. Oh,
well,
okay.
All right, so we've got people rioting, we've got racist police officers, and we've also got gun control. How can we have all three at once?
That's why look. That's why I'm not. I don't understand the people opposed to abolishing the police at this point, because these cities voted for them.
But what do you mean by? I guess what do you mean by abolishing the police? Like I think it would be good to have a police force. I'm for some minimal state. You know, let the cops prevent people from murdering each other.
Okay, well, let's clarify, right? Like we have a sheriff's department out here, and they're pretty all right. You know, they're pretty good. You don't have a lot of interactions with them. You call them when you need assistance on certain matters, and you might get pulled over by a state trooper, you might get pulled over by a sheriff's deputy or something. But it's not the same as like a police force in a major metropolitan city. Now,
interesting.
My point is, it's not so much about whether I think it's a good deal. I think it's a bad idea. I think these cities are going to have a lot of problems.
Yeah.
I'm also of the mind that you should have responsibility for yourself, and we should have a right to keep and bear arms. So if the left says, abolish police, I say, I think that's a really bad idea and you're not going to like that. And they say, shut up, bigot, we're abolishing the police. I'll be like, all right.
Well, this is the thing.
Put my gun in my holster and be like, you do your thing.
And I am all about demilitarizing the police, but when you turn your city into a war zone, I don't know what you expect.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because demilitarize, I guess, I brought this up before, a similar point. Someone they made a good point back. Like, what does that mean? We did a discussion about militarization of the police. We see MRAPs. We see cops in armor. And actually, that's a good thing. You know why?
Why?
The more options officers have, the less lethal occurrences will happen. If an officer is fully armored and they have less lethal rounds, they have sponge rounds or tear gas, that means they're not using live ammunition.
That makes sense.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
If the cop also is armored and feels like he's more likely to be safe, he's less likely to use lethal rounds against another person.
He won't fire his gun into the air?
Well, right. So imagine you have... So, we had this story just a moment ago about these cops resigning from their emergency response team. Now they're saying they're going to have to use regular field officers to fill that gap. If you have a regular cop who's just wearing their shirt with a vest and they have their gun and a taser and that's it, what are their options? A riot breaks out and they're like, I can't tase these people from range and they're all throwing Molotovs. My only choice is lethal force or nothing. Some cops might run away. Okay, then you get no enforcement. You give a cop a shield, some armor, and some sponge rounds, and now they're going to mostly nuisance people. They're less lethal because they can kill. But look, it's better to have the option. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so I guess the idea is when we're giving cops 50 BMG and all those crazy weapons, the other argument is, what do the cops do when someone else comes out with something like that? It doesn't mean they use it all the time, but it's interesting what people mean by militarization. I feel like the last time I brought that up, I hadn't really thought about it. I think I was coming from a very ignorant place.
They're less likely to make a decision out of fear, probably if they're armed to the teeth. But if they're ordered to fire, then we're in way more trouble.
Armed to the teeth with what? Sponge rounds?
I don't know. Also, bazookas, rocket launchers,
but they don't have those
Who knows?
things. They don't have those things.
I mean, do you know what's in their trunk? What's in the APC?
I really don't think they're bringing
probably
flamethrowers,
machine guns,
bazookas.
I mean, weapon.
Well, hold on. There's an argument to be made for flamethrowers. No.
Of course there is. Yeah.
No, there's not in a city.
But like heavily militarized.
Nancy Pelosi wanted crew-served machine guns. Remember that?
What?
Yeah, you don't remember that? Nancy Pelosi said in D.C. she wanted crew-served, what was it called? Crew-service machine guns?
Yeah, like mounted machine guns.
Belt-fed.
See, like that's terrifying.
In a city?
Yeah.
It's not going to go through a building.
Yeah.
Don't
That's
know
insanity.
Dude, Nancy Pelosi should be kept far away from gun laws after saying something like that. What she thinks it's I don't even think that's reasonable.
Her and Joy Behar, I think, should write the next piece of legislation. They should get together, have Nancy on the View.
Fully semi-automatic.
I remember 1970. I wasn't there for it, but in May 4th, 1970, at Kent State University, the National Guard was ordered. I don't know if they were ordered, but they fired on a crowd of college kids, killed 4. So it's not out of the question that cops will open fire. And if they're heavily armed, that could be devastating.
Isn't the point, what I'm saying then, is to make sure that when they come out, they have armor, shields, and less lethal rounds?
That is defensively, yeah, but that's not necessarily like when you say militarized. That's way more broad than just shields and
this is the question, because I've covered this stuff for over a decade and I've not seen an instance where there have been. I'll put it this way: most instances when the police come out and they're in gear and they're in MRAPs, they have less lethal. There are usually 1 or 2 cops I'll see with live ammo. We've seen those happen, but for the most part, having a rifle is not militarization. we're talking about the armor, the fatigues, and the MRAPs. And I'm like, that's actually not that big a deal. Cops have had rifles since what? The 90s, when the armor-piercing the robbers with the armor-piercing rounds were shooting at cops. And so then they were like, we need SWAT teams now. They escalated tactics. But the militarization I often see, it's like they were given an armored personnel carrier, and I'm kind of like, so? Like, I don't know. Like, what are they going to do? They're going to ram somebody with it? I mean, they shouldn't. I hope they don't.
Well, I think the concern for a lot of people is a growing police state.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so that's why that frightens them. If there comes a day when the government really does clamp down on our rights, or they come to take our guns.
Comes a day, you say?
Yeah, if there comes I know. If eventually at some unthinkable point in an unforeseeable future, far down the line, the police are weaponized against the citizenry, people are afraid of them having to, and I totally understand that.
You know, I got to tell you, man, when I see these Donald Trump supporters and they're posting memes from Michael Malice about how the police will absolutely seize your guns from you or arrest your family, I'm like, dude, the cops have lost a lot of support from the right. A lot.
Well, especially after these riots. And part of it was like in a lot of these left-wing run cities, they wouldn't really let the police do anything to prevent the rioting from occurring. But also they did choose to follow those orders at the same time. And so a lot of conservatives feel very betrayed.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's my attitude right now, right? The police out here in the middle of nowhere, the sheriffs, they're cool. They don't got any beef. In fact, you know, West Virginia is a constitutional carry. So there's no issues. You can walk around out, you can drive in your car with your passenger like holding their weapon. You can walk down the street with your weapon. And you know what the crazy thing is? Nothing happens. Nobody's going around, like, no one hurt anybody, no one's shooting anybody. In fact, I mentioned this before, when I'm driving through West Virginia and I see all these houses with there's no cops anywhere, and I'm just like, none of these people are worried about getting robbed.
Yeah.
You know why?
The crime rate's low.
They're armed to the teeth.
Yeah.
The crime rate's actually high.
Wait, where is this?
In West Virginia, there's a lot of problem with drug use.
Oh, okay, yes.
But
what about the violent crime rate?
I don't entirely know for sure, but I do know. So I'm in like some Facebook groups for like some West Virginia places, and there are people who are like, there was someone posted something where they were like, someone did something in my yard. And then other people were like, watch out because someone might be casing the joint. And, and then they all laugh. They're like, one guy's like, man, I wish it was my house.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, calm down, gentlemen.
Yeah, chill there.
Chill.
You don't want to have to be in that situation.
Yeah, you don't want to deal with legal laws. You don't want to deal with legal lawsuits, cops and all that stuff. But the attitude out there is like, don't you come on my property.
Yeah.
Guess what? Nobody does.
Comes under
so
the property,
it's a really interesting argument for the anarchists, to be completely honest. Left or right, I don't care. That in these places where people are armed, not a lot of cops. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.